Yes. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to an exclusive Lions Den with Seth, y'all. We are really, really excited about what we're going to be talking about on today, y'all. We're celebrating Women's Equality Day, all right? And we're going to be talking about one conversation at a time. So if you don't know, if you haven't, and this your first time, this here, the Lions Den with Seth, what we do is we focus on leadership, growth, and development with a call to action, right? From the household to out in the community, and the women that's behind all of that. Big Herm, what you think about that, bro? You ready for this?
Man, I'm ready for it, man. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is a bigger supporter of women than me. You know what I mean? I'm probably the biggest supporter of women there is.
Man, if you don't see, man, we can't even start right. You only had 2 seconds. 2 seconds to do something, to say something.
Come on now, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely going to show my daughters this show and show them and prove them that I'm on the team.
That you're on the team.
Yeah, man.
So you know what? Honestly, man, we should have had some shirts or something, like some shirts to represent the ladies. Like what? Right. Like what colors you think we should have had?
Yellow.
Like fuchsia, yellow,
man. Yeah.
Why yellow?
Because yellow is equality.
Is that what it is? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, y'all, hey, this we've been reading. There it is. Wait, hold on. Wait, do you know that for sure?
Don't nobody Google that. I'm just saying.
Okay, you know what? I can't stand you. But look, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is an exclusive show. This is outside of our norm, but we are very, very, very honored to have been able to host this, ladies and gentlemen. So I want you to help us to welcome Miss Anaya Simone to the building, Jasmine and Miss Myra. Yeah. Hey, ladies, how y'all doing? How's everybody?
Great.
All right, look at y'all, all in unison. So look, we're going to start with Miss Ayana. So tell us a little bit about yourself, ma'am.
So my name is Ayana Simone. I've served for right now 24 years. Yes, I served for 24 years.
Yes.
Thank you. I have 3 children. I would like to say 2 humans and 1 furry, a 17-year-old, a 13-year-old, and my fur baby, a pit bull mix called Genji. I love them very much. So,
nice. Well, welcome.
Thank you for having us, and I'm super grateful to be here.
Outstanding. Yes. So what about you, Miss Jasmine Saunders?
Hello. Yes, I'm Jasmine Sanders. I'm super excited to be here with everyone tonight. I have also served a little bit of time, just a couple years in the same services. So I'm really excited to be here talking with you guys today and let you guys hear a little bit more about some of my background as we go on through the questions.
Outstanding. Yes. Last but not least, Ms. Myra, how you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? Good. Okay. So I'm Myra Laurie. I've also am in the military. I've been serving for 19 years now. Currently stationed at Dover. I have 3 children, 18, 10, and 7. And yeah, I'm ready to get things started.
All right. So again, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, I want y'all to understand this. Nothing that they say reflects the views and the thought processes of the United States DOD. Okay, this is all their own opinions. All right, so don't hold it against them. And look, we don't want to hear no shit. So to get popping. All right, you ready for the first question, Big Herm?
Let's do it, man. So we're gonna get right into it when we're talking about challenging gender roles. So my question is, how do traditional gender roles impact women's lives professionally and personally? And if you feel like they are impacting women's lives professionally and personally, what can be done to change that?
So I'll take that one. So I'll say when we're referring to women in today's society, I think it's safe to say, and ladies back me up on this, I think it's all a balancing act, right? So we're expected to be exceptionally flawless as professionals, as mothers, as, wives in our day-to-day roles. But to me, the reality of that is that we can't do that at 100%. We're going to falter, we're going to fail. And it's a little bit overreaching to have that expectation to be 100% in all those roles on a consistent basis, even though you're going to strive to do that, right? Because we're human. We're all human at the end of the day. We're going to have sick days. We're going to have down days. Our kids are going to need us. We're going to have to spend time with our loved ones. And above all, and it's something that I feel like we don't emphasize enough is that we're going to need to focus on mental health, right? That taboo topic. It's important. It's important for us to be able to pour into people. We need to pour into ourselves, right? So at the end of the day, if we're thinking about what do we need to challenge those norms and change things, I really believe it comes down to communication and expectation management, right? With our senior leaders, whether it's in the military world or in the corporate world, in the civilian sector. It's about that, letting them know, hey, we need to have these crucial, critical conversations. I want to be successful in this arena. I want to be successful in this organization. But the reality is I still have to dedicate time, love, support, care to my family, right? To myself. So we need your support. Because if you have individuals that have a vested interest in an organization, there comes a time where leaders need to be like, you know what? I need to make exceptions. I need to take this person in and see how I could best support them so that overarching, everyone can be happy and this organization can be successful.
Okay.
Outstanding. No, that's good. Yo, anybody else got anything to add to that? Okay.
I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think on a personal level, when you're talking about gender roles, I think that's getting a little bit like confusing nowadays, kind of people don't understand what is a gender role, so I think mixing that into a work-related environment, I think that can also affect the workplace.
See,
hold
on, you gonna do it?
One person that doesn't confuse gender roles is my wife. Because when the trash is built up, she's never thinking about taking it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or any of that type stuff. So it's not that confused around here.
And you know what? I like that, Herm. That's a good way to put it. And the real talk, right? Because we all different, right? But however, how you view gender roles in your home or even in your mind, your morals, your values, even your occupation, not everybody think the same. So think about it. There's a dichotomy there. Right? As far as roles, it's not necessarily to hang your hat on the roles, but what about your responsibilities? What are you owning? Right? Now, do you need a specific gender to own that? That might be another topic for another time. Y'all can dig that. What y'all think? So here's a question for you ladies. So in what ways do intersectional identities such as race or socioeconomic status complicate the quest for gender equality? All right. And now, how can these complexities be addressed in the movement for women's rights? So who want to touch this?
I can take this one. So I think intersectionality is a term that kind of helps us to first define and then articulate what we're looking at when we're looking at women with multiple marginalized identities specifically. As I mentioned before, you'd figure out a little bit more about my background. My master's thesis was focused in Black feminist thought and the ways that Patricia Hill Collins specifically uses intersectionality to describe how Black women have these converging set of consequences that they face, right? You have consequences from being marginalized in your race, consequences from being marginalized from your gender. You may also have other complications such as socioeconomic status or, just different walks of life, right? And I think it's important to realize that everyone has different walks of life because intersectionality can go beyond just women. So everyone, everywhere has these different sets of factors that make them who they are. And it's part of their identity formation. So we pick apart these little pieces of our identity and we start to build this puzzle of who we are. We can understand each other better. We can understand ourselves better. And then we can also find the similarities with one another when we see that those puzzles a lot of times are much more similar than we think they are. And then that builds that strength, that camaraderie. It gives you the opportunity to get to know other people that you may not have expected to have. Oh, this intersection of their identity actually crosses over with this thing that I had over here. Now we can join together. We can talk more. We can relate on this. We can bond. And we can now see that we actually do have some things that we're the same in. So I love that this concept is being brought up. I think it's so important that we, one, recognize that different people have different struggles, but those struggles can also bring us together at the same time.
So, and to that point, what would you say, and ladies, please fill in, what would you say one thing that you can help to bridge that commonalities in conversations? Because there's so many things that divide us, right? What would be one thing that you would say or that you would use to help build that relationship?
I think communication was already brought up, but I think communication has to go both ways. So I can talk till I'm blue in the face about my experience, but if you're not willing to listen to it and be open-minded and receive the communication that I'm giving to you, we're not going to get too far. So I think that open-mindedness, that willing to listen and listen for what that person's experience is and validate that experience, right? We don't have to necessarily know exactly what those feelings were, know exactly what that person's thinking when they're trying to say what they're saying. But we can be human and listen and empathize and understand that this part of two-way communication is understanding where that person is trying to connect and to move forward in this relationship.
That was a thesis. You hear that, Herm? Look at all that. Look at all that smarts. Go ahead, bro.
Man, my lighting over here got me looking like an angel, man.
Oh, yeah. Change that. We know the truth. Go ahead. You get, is it blind or what's up?
And this question is coming straight from heaven. All right, here we go. So I'm really interested to hear all your ladies' perspective on this because, you know, you are women in leadership. And backstory for me, and this is the honest truth, the best leaders I've had since I've been in the military. Am I frozen?
Yeah, you are. See?
Hey, man, hold on.
Straight from heaven.
Man, see what happened? Hold on. Hey, I'm gonna do the women in leadership one. I'm gonna back out and come back in. Okay?
All right, so all right, ladies. Here's this one. And I think that this is good, and I'm gonna push this out here. How realistic is the concept of the work-life balance? And for women, now, real talk. Not only how important is it, but is it real? All right. So somebody help me out, right? What do y'all think about that? And what can we do? Yeah, it's a sticky subject because you know what happens. Let me get on my soapbox. The problem is they say it, we hear it, but you don't give us the tools to actually use it. And the day that we do, they're going to look at you like you crazy, like your hair rolled off your neck. So, ladies, who want to speak to that, right? How realistic is that?
I'll give my personal experience on work-life balance. It doesn't exist. I think we need to do away with that term, and you have to be okay with knowing that something's going to sacrifice. One day it might be your job, the next day it might be your family. There's just no way that you can commit 100% to both things, given whatever your situations are. You know, me, I'm a single person. It's just me and my kids, you know, so that means I have to go and do my work duties, you know, and then come home and do home stuff by myself. There's no way. I would get burnt out. There'd be no time for me to go out, to go to the gym, to do my self-care and be successful without burning out before I have a mental breakdown. What I have found that's easy for me is, it's being okay with that. I think society puts a lot of pressure on women to be, you have to be successful, and we do it all, and we do it all, but it's okay to say, hey, I'm doing enough today. Well, we can start again tomorrow, or hey, maybe prioritize what's very important that day and then leave it for the next day for whatever else. I think if society took that pressure away from women, then we wouldn't have this high expectation of fulfilling this work-life balance and how it works, or feeling like a failure that you're defeated whenever you realize you can't do it, because it's not realistic.
I do agree with that. And ladies, tell me what you think about this, right? I don't believe in the work-life balance either. I believe that is a such thing as work-life harmony and being able to communicate, hey, as I'm juggling all of these things, one of them are going to fall. However, it's not going to be my daughter. You dig? It's not going to be my sanity, right on. And it's not going to be my livelihood and my family livelihood. So what do you guys think about how you would navigate the work-life balance and being able to articulate that in your workspace? And how would you suggest or help a young lady or woman understand that, and how they would be able to navigate? Suggest.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
So I definitely have to agree, and I share the same sentiments as Myra, because I too am a single parent with 3 kids, right? 2 humans and a furry. And I don't believe at all there's any such thing as work-life balance. It is work-life harmony. But in order to be successful in any area, whether it's being a mother, whether it's being a career professional, whether it's being a wife, you have to be deliberate, right? And one of the things that I've learned, even though I learned it kind of later on in my career, is that I have to be deliberate in taking time off for myself, right? And it'll probably be, everybody's going to see me, oh, she's working hard, she's doing this, she's trying. Yes, for maybe 2 to 3 months consecutively, or 2 months consecutively, because I know that's what I can handle. But after
your passport ready.
Best believe those trips,
right?
Those outings with my homegirls and my family and my loved ones, they're planned. They're
right.
on my calendar. My boss is tracking that. My team's tracking that. Ayana is going to take care of not only herself, but her family during these times. And it's all strategic. So I have to be a lot more deliberate in my role, especially as a leader and as a mother and as a single parent, to ensure that I am planning not just maybe 3 months, but I plan a year out. So no, everything is planned out. I have to be very, very strategic to ensure that I'm okay, so I can pour into my loved ones and I can pour into my teammates, and that everyone's going to be okay, especially myself.
I like that. Hey, Herm, man, what you think about that, man? How important was work-life balance / harmony for you when you were serving? Did you help to emphasize that?
I can't say that I did a very good job with that. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why I got divorced the first time. You know what I mean? You know, it's tough. You know, it's tough for a person like me because I'm bad at planning. You know, and I just take things as they go. Now, in this phase of my life, I do a lot better with it. And I got a wife that demands that, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. And I took my first vacation when I left the military.
Right.
I never took a vacation in the military.
No.
I would go home on leave. That ain't no vacation. I never went nowhere.
Right.
You know, I took my vacation first vacation when I retired. I'm like, dang, I really been missing out on stuff because I didn't have good work-life balance.
All right, well, go ahead. On to you, mommy. You got that?
Hey, so ready? I'm back. We're ready for this question, and I want to ask all you ladies this because you are ladies in leadership, and throughout my career and even now, the best leadership I've always had was always women in positions over me. So I want to know, why do you think there are still so few women in leadership positions across industries? And what is the most effective strategies to break these barriers? What do y'all think about that? And I want to also add, what is your experience, especially as women of color, as leaders in the United States military? How's that been going for y'all?
Ooh, who wanted to touch that?
I can take the first part of that one.
All right. Well, somebody got
No, I can answer. I'll give my personal opinion for the second part as well. But for the first part, I think women in leadership can sometimes be considered a quote unquote woman's issue. And not for shock and awe effect, I like to always say that it's actually a men's issue. And a lot of times we're like, oh, like, why are you saying that? But I think it's not to be like offensive or say men have more issues. I mean that women are prepared to be in leadership positions. The space is not prepared for women to be there, and those are often male-dominated spaces. So rather than blaming women for not being ready or prepared or capable, we need to address who's not allowing them in those spaces. So for me, I don't necessarily think that it's because women are the issue. So that's what I mean by that as a men's issue. It's a team effort though, right? We need support from all sides, all sides of the coin. Men need to recognize women for being capable of being leaders. Women need to continue to do what they're doing to be prepared when they are given the opportunity to be there. I do think the little things that can help and have also been part of my experience, so to answer that part, is, listening when women are talking. Very simple. Not cutting them off in a meeting, giving them credit the first time around. I've experienced where they're like, oh, let's take this idea. We're going to do this whole, rabbit hole down this other way. And then come to find out when your idea failed, oh, she actually knew the first time around. Now it's somehow someone else's idea, right? And so I think listening the first time around, giving them opportunities to be listened to, and just being willing, like I said in the other question, just being willing to listen and be collaborative. And again, you can't collaborate with people who aren't willing to do that with you in return. So it takes both parties.
Damn.
Man, you know, I feel bad because you know how many ideas I stole from Hodges? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We was the all-stars and everything after she said it. And I'm like, yeah, we the all-stars. Like, okay.
But it came from her. You know, and you know, it's easy too.
I'm part of the problem.
You are the problem. It's the man's problem.
Hey, man.
See, but you know what though, Jasmine, that was outstanding, and it really brought some things to light, especially being in positions of leadership. Like, wow, do I subconsciously do that? And with that being said, have you ladies ever experienced a individual in leadership, male being in leadership, and trying to mansplain things to you that you may have felt was mansplaining, but this was just how they were communicating, not to trivialize what you're saying, later to find out, right? So in the beginning, it may have sounded like, wait, hold on, I'm not stupid. I know what he's trying to say, da-da-da-da-da. And at the same time, later on, you learned that it was more to that, and it wasn't a male or female thing. It was just an experience thing. Have you guys ever dealt with that?
Nothing that comes to mind off for me. Nothing that comes to mind off the top.
What about you, Jasmine? You was about to say something?
Yeah, I think paying attention to where that explanation is coming from or the context is kind of my dead giveaway. Typically for when it's like mansplaining or just experience. As someone who is a little bit newer to the workforce, I do tend to assume, okay, I'm new here. I don't know what's going on. Let me listen. But some of the times when those comments are coming from a place of, I'm assuming you don't know what you're doing versus let me help you to figure this out, or like, let's figure out this together, or a better, more efficient way, instead of, you obviously don't know this, so let me tell you how to do it. And so I think they come from two different places, and often the context is a little bit different also. If you're just telling me like common knowledge things, 9 times out of 10, that's probably mansplaining because I know how this probably works. If it's something that's like a little bit new to me that you know I haven't been involved in, or something very niche or very specific to something you know I don't have experience in, then I think that typically comes from a more positive place, I'll say.
Okay.
So real quick, like before I retired, I worked at the Inspector General's office for Air Mobility Command, right? All of us were senior NCOs. We had a senior enlisted leader for us that was a Black female. And I felt like a lot of the males gave her a lot of grief. They didn't really want to take direction from her, right? I noticed how when it was a white male that did it, it was easier for them to take direction from him. But from the Black female who was the senior enlisted leader, they was having a hard time, always wanting to question everything that she said, and just thought it was dumb, right? I noticed that right off the bat. Have y'all experienced something like that? And how do you handle something like that in y'all's career? And how do you advise somebody else to handle situations like that?
I have actually recently.
There we go. All right. Now, off the script.
Actually. Well, and more so, not even in the fact that you'll listen to me, but more so when I'm trying to give advice to somebody. Like I have this male individual who sends me his report, his annual report. And he's like, hey, can you look at it? And then I look at it, I provide feedback, and then when I get it back, it looks exactly the same. He might have changed like 2 things that I said. So then I was like, why did you do this? And then I was like, why did you ask me for advice if you weren't going to take it? And he was like, well, I spoke to this other guy and he said this was probably going to look better if I do it like this. So then I was just like, so what was the point of you wasting my time, And he didn't have a good answer for it. But I feel like he did it because I was a female. And granted, you can't really say it because it's an assumption, that it's like, okay, it's like, I know something's going on and you're taking his advice because he's a male and I'm a female, but go ahead. And just because when you interact with certain individuals, you can tell if there's a male entering the room, all of a sudden their demeanor changes, how they interact with you changes. And those are little like clues that I catch on to, but it's just like, can we really say anything? Because are they really doing anything that's,
right.
obvious, I guess?
Right.
I don't know. And I think that's like a little bit of a, it's a fine line to cross sometimes, because there is room for like, no, it wasn't me, or false accusations and all that stuff. But we know when someone's being funny with us, and yeah, they were being funny with me. So I was like,
Yeah, I can dig it. And essentially, we're talking about microaggressions, all right, everybody. And so you know what it is. And like, you know, the old saying, if you know, then you know. All right. So now look, let's switch gears real quick. And I want anybody to jump on this. Let me just paint a picture for you. You ready? Sexy red. Okay. What's going on with that? Now, here's the real question. All right. I just want y'all to put that in your mind. But
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why. Here it is. How does the portrayal of women in media and entertainment influence societal perceptions of gender equality, right? And what steps can be taken to improve the representation? Like, think about it. Okay, so there's a lot of responsibility we all have. Women, especially, right? Bearing children, bringing life to this world. So what do you think that we can do, or what women can do to help to change that perspective? Oh, what, y'all ain't like the sexy red? I know y'all. Hey, when it come on, real talk. But I bet you don't. I know my daughter ain't listening to no damn sexy red.
No.
Seriously though. So I mean, what do y'all think? What type of things can be used to kind of change the perception, either at home or in the organization? What do you guys what you think? Hold on, let me see. Let me pick on Miss Ayana. There we go.
No, don't pick on Miss Ayana.
Got you. Hey, full screen too. Blah. Go ahead.
Okay. Especially being a mom and having a daughter, I would have to say, and people may disagree, I'm very strict with my kids. Extremely strict. A lot of that has to do with my upbringing, being the fact that I'm Trinidadian, and things are a little bit different in what we expose our kids to. And I'm not saying that it's not similar for everyone else in America, but I've raised my kids the exact same way that my parents have raised me. And some people may say, oh, you're strict, you're this, you're that. Yes, but I want to build and produce productive citizens within America or internationally, right? And that means I can't expose them to things that would affect their minds. You know, I want to make sure that they can capitalize on their strengths, and I give them avenues to do that and their talents, and set them up for success, you know. But the reality of the situation is, when they do go to school, they hear these things, right? So it's like, all right, so you know what's right and what's wrong. You know that this is not in music that I would prefer for you to listen to. So step away, put something else on, refocus your mind, refocus your energy, you know, focus on extracurricular activities, the things that you need to do to be successful. But it's unfortunate because you really can't control in this society what your children are exposed to. You can only, as a parent, control how you raise them, and the values and the morals and those things that you instill in them at a very young age, and you continue to do so and reinforce it, you know.
Okay. Well, look, here's one follow-up question. All right, this for you, Myra. But Mom, it's only entertainment. What would you say about that?
So I didn't initially respond to this because I feel like I might have a different opinion when we talk about.
Okay, you know that, right?
When we talk about you know, people like a sexy red and all that stuff, I really do believe, yeah, that's what's making them their money, and it works for them. And you know, you have to be able to accept that and say, like, hey, not one woman is like the end all be all. Like, who knows? Maybe she is a great human being, you know, or who knows, you know, but it's just like, because she doesn't look a certain way, shouldn't like take away from the type of woman she is, okay. You know? So I would say it is only entertainment. You know, hey. You have to teach your children that, because right now we're in this age of TikTok and doing all this stuff to get the easy money, that those conversations need to be had and say, hey, this is our normal world. This is what it is. We're older, so we know what, you know, what a woman should look like, you know, to be perceived as respectful and all that stuff. But this girl's smart. She's making money and she's not doing anything, you know? Hey. So it's just like, who's really at fault here? I don't know. Is it us who entertain it and give her the money as society, or is it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm torn.
There is nothing wrong with that answer, because I mean, Master P had me ready to have gold teeth, and you know what I'm saying. I was about it, and rowdy. You know what I mean? I was all of that. You know, but we're gonna switch gears a little bit and stick into how people perceive women. So we're gonna go to a sexual harassment question, right? Now I know every year I got the same computer-based training to speak about sexual harassment and what it looks like, you know. And I thought it was crazy until I got out of the Air Force and seen how prevalent that simple sexual harassment can be. I was like, damn, I didn't really think people would be crazy enough to do this stuff, right? And now I see it. But I'm not crazy enough to think that it's not still happening in the Air Force as well, or inside y'all's lives every day, right? So my question is, with the decreased awareness of sexual harassment is still in the workplace. What are the issues that influence this? I can't even say this right. Why do y'all think this is happening? There we go. Yeah. Why do y'all think this is happening? Why do we have a sexual harassment problem? Still.
Because I mean, look, real talk. And look, I want to add something else to that. Out of everything that's going on today, okay, why do you think we are still having to have training and it's still happening? So what say you ladies?
I would say for me that it's happening because it's a checkbox. Like, let's just say sometimes, like when you're dealing with big industry and stuff like that, they just want to say, yeah, we have a policy in place, right, but they don't enforce it. And the consequences that when that does happen are like minor, that is just like, is there really any repercussions to do this? And I think it's the accountability factor that's missing when it does happen. And I also believe that, you know, there is a lot of like systematic issues that are like set in place, you know, like if I go say something, am I going to get retaliated for saying, hey, my boss, you know, am I going to be believed? You know, because maybe I do, you know, post she's always at the club, you know, like she knows this. She's always posting videos of her drinking. Like she knew what she was doing, you know. So it's just like, it's that fear of being perceived as something that people are like, maybe I shouldn't say anything. And, you know, to be honest with you, some of that training, it's very computer based and you're just clicking through it and bada bing, bada boom, you know, next, is my opinion.
I agree with that too.
Wholeheartedly.
Anybody else?
I just want to add to what she's saying, and it's kind of unfortunate because, you know, as women in today's society, we should be comfortable with like, hey, if I want to wear a sexy dress, because I do, let's just be honest, right? I should be able to do that. Obviously not exposing my private parts, but if I feel comfortable and confident in that dress, and I do have tattoos, and you know, those are exposed, and I do engage in alcoholic beverages because I am of age and I can do so, there should not be a negative perception associated with that. But oftentimes people look at that and like, oh, she's out drinking or she's out having a good time. And it's like, well, she placed herself in that position or in that predicament. And that is not the case at all. You know, so I wanted to agree with Myra on that.
Yeah, when you should be feeling protected in society, instead you got to worry about being victimized in some kind of way.
That's true. That's true. All right, then, ladies. Well, look, here's something else. And I think it's a real good one. So what has been the most significant impact to the hashtag Me Too movement on gender equality? And what challenges remain in translating its momentum to long-term change? What say you?
I can touch on this one. I think it's a conversation starter. I think it's highlighting a lot of these issues that women may have been more fearful of speaking to. And I think even when you look at like the waves of feminism as they progressed, it was a very critical part in pushing us into this phase of equality, which is why we're all here today, right? If you treat women as your equal, you wouldn't dare do anything to hurt them. And I think that's the important part, is learning how to treat women as an equal person that you love and respect and care for and want to protect, like you guys just mentioned.
Right.
So now that we have this conversation out there, it's a platform to speak for women, for other women, and also for men who experience some of these harmful actions as well. But it's important to be able to have the dialogue and to try and find those blind spots, because otherwise they're going to continue to happen, and you're going to face the retaliation. You're going to face the negativity that comes after the negative experiences you already had. So,
you know what? I like that you said that. And back to Myra's point, it's like you want to say something, but that fear of reprisal is real. Okay, so it's like, do I still have a career after I've exposed the golden child that has the halo effect, right? Because no one expects him to be that way, or even her. All right. So now that I done came out and said, hey, this isn't right, we have programs and policies and procedures in place, and now it's not working for me. Now I'm afraid to use it.
Right.
Okay, like seriously, is that real, or is that even fair? So it's a real fear, and it's not fair, and it goes both ways. But the unfortunate part is there are individuals, predominantly women, that fear even saying something, right? Because of the systemic build of the organization is not for that level of what's the word I'm looking for? The system of transparency. You see what I'm saying? Because people are in positions for different reasons. You get what I mean? And by playing certain games the right way. So let's be real about that. But then when an individual is being mistreated, is it, do you turn a blind eye to that as well? So I don't know.
So it kind of helps support this question that I have. And this is about how men can help. You know, what are some practical ways that men can help support their female colleagues in professional settings, especially in traditionally male-dominated industries?
Alliance, Dan. Outside of that, what else? What y'all think, ladies?
So I'll take this one. So that's really a really good question. I would say most certainly you need to create an inclusive environment, right? Especially in male-dominated industries or a male-dominated AFSC within the service. In today's society, you see that we have quite a bit of introverts. They tend to stay to themselves, right? They have a proclivity to seek out isolated environments. So when you see them in a meeting, or you just see them in an office setting, or just out and about, you should, as a man, as a male, talk to them. You know, how are you doing? I would love to hear your input on this. Hey, if you see that they're quiet in a conference room in a meeting, ask them for their input, ask them for their feedback. Say, hey, I know that you've done this before based off your experience. What are your thoughts? You know, and a lot of times that does not happen. Sometimes it may, but it does not. And then most importantly, when you have women that are speaking in those meetings, in those conference room settings, please don't interrupt us. And that has been a thing. I don't know if my fellow panelists, teammates, Myra, Jasmine have experienced this, but, you know, unfortunately, not just male dominated, but what I have experienced with white males is that when I'm speaking and I am in a leadership position, sometimes I'm often cut off, you know, and it puts me in a position where now I have to assert myself. And then you're looked at or perceived at as being, you know, that word that you know you're not. But if you don't, and you don't assert yourself in that moment, you're what? You're pushover, right? So it's like you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to be like, hey, if you respect this individual, I need you to respect me. Or please do continue, since you wanted to cut me off. Please continue and finish what you had to say. Respectfully.
And then, well, hold on, Herm. Because to her point, I think that's the right way of doing it. But then that too can be adverse. You get what I'm saying? By pointing out, hey, I'm still talking, like, or no, go ahead, continue, because clearly, because whatever was coming out of my damn mouth was not as important as far as what you have to say. So everybody, so this is Seth, right? And plus I'm an Aries, right? So hey, everybody, shh, silence your phone, right? Because Johnny over here, right, will want to cut me on off. So everybody, let's let him say. But then that can be a problem. Still, because you can be absolutely right. So how do you navigate that still? Because to your point, you can have individuals that are introverted and they don't speak up for themselves, but then it builds up. Everyone has a limit.
Right.
And then boom, when they finally say something, then they still get hemmed up.
So I set those ROEs. I've been in that position before, and I realized that it's very critical, especially when you have male subordinates directly under you, especially in the meeting that you're chairing, that you need to set those ROEs. So the respect is prevalent across the board, not just for yourself, but for everyone who's at that table. Hey, guys.
What is ROEs for the military, non-military?
Rules of engagement.
There it is. Okay.
Those rules of engagement. Hey, let's respect one another. If someone is speaking up and they're stating their point, let's respect that and hear what they have to say. And then once they're finished, then feel free to interject, ask any questions as you see fit. So it's fair across the board.
Awesome.
Okay. I got another one though. And this one's interesting to me because, you always hear about what's toxic masculinity. You know what I mean? Toxic masculinity, right? So I want to know, how does redefining traditional notions of masculinity contribute to gender equality? And what are the benefits of embracing a more inclusive view of masculinity? What is the inclusive view of masculinity? Help me out.
And help me out too.
Yeah. I mean, what am I supposed to be doing?
Right.
I can speak to this one a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think language is super important. So there's like a foundation of how we see the world. And this comes from like my sociology background. So bear with me as I kind of build it. There's a philosopher, her name's Judith Butler. She talks about gender formation and gender theory and how language is kind of the first step in understanding what anything is in the world, specifically gender. So when we look at the things that we've gendered in society, we've made these two boxes of femininity, masculinity, right? We dumped all this stuff into one. We said, we're just going to put whatever else is over here. So with masculinity, we put traits like leadership, dominant, go-getter, driven, all these things, right? And then we place masculinity on men. And then we completely disregarded the fact that women could have some of those traits too. So we've done the same vice versa. Women are nurturing, they're caring, they're empathetic. And then we said, nah, men can't do any of those things. They're going to stay in the woman's box with the femininity column. And so I think what helps to kind of deconstruct this toxic masculinity you bring up is taking the gendered part out of it. And then you just explain people for who they are with the characteristics that they do have. So you can call a woman a natural born leader. You can call a man nurturing. And then you start to understand like what qualities we've placed this value because of the language in certain boxes, but these qualities actually do define people outside of just the gendered aspects. And so then you break down that wall of toxic masculinity and say, well, now we don't give men this excuse to do this, this, and this because, oh, he's just a boy, or men just do whatever because we placed them into this category. Now you've pulled that back and you said, okay, if a woman were to have this same behavior with this same language, how we view it. And now you're looking at it for the actual root cause of what's happening. And you're also able to identify what is actually happening in those buckets is not actually, they can be in one bucket. Everyone has qualities from both sides.
You know what? I like that. And this is what I do want to touch on this very quickly, because you said something that made some sense, a lot too, but the language piece, in my opinion, the prefix to the masculinity already sounds offensive. You're adding toxic in it. All right. So as soon as you say toxic, that means you are doing something that may be natural for your testosterone, utilizing that masculinity, but it's toxic because that means you're doing it wrong. So versus a man, let's just say a man, right? A man is not high in testosterone, but maybe high, or let's say higher in estrogen. Would you call him, look, he's acting zesty, right? So at the same time, that's still a negative connotation. You get what I mean? So language matters. So even if a woman was to act assertive or whatever, that's in my opinion, right? And we're not talking about society, but in my opinion, that's not masculine. That's a boss. But an individual that's insecure with themselves on both sides, they will use those triggering words. So therefore, you are that word, that B word, or you're hyper masculine, or toxic masculine. You get what I mean? So I really do believe it is the language piece that can trigger a person to become defensive. What y'all think about that?
I think part of what I understand toxic masculinity to be is less of like a, hey, you're doing this wrong, and more of a caution of, hey, if you don't have some sort of bounds or some kind of accountability on some of these traits and what we're allowing you as men to get away with sometimes, then there's going to be a toxic repercussion, right? So if I just say, hey, this man was aggressive, and this turns into something that we were talking about earlier, sexual harassment, and I just dismiss it because I don't want to get involved, that is an area where that masculine trait, which being assertive is not inherently bad, we've attributed it to men, and then you give them the excuse to take it as far as they want to, that's when it turns into a more toxic masculine situation. So I think it's more of the excuse that pushes it to too far, where you've exceeded those bounds of it being healthy, because there is healthy masculinity, right? We just don't normally talk about it until it's gotten beyond the point of no return, until it turns into that toxic space.
Yeah, I agree. What you think, Herm? Do you think, hey, what's your definition, if you will, of toxic masculinity? And is it a precaution, or is it a label that individuals use? Like, for example, saying a person is narcissistic, if they're not diagnosed and you didn't diagnose them and you don't see that they have that diagnosis, you're just assuming that, right? You're using a characteristic trait. So what would you say a toxic masculinity is? And have you ever been, anybody ever said that you was
all the time? Yeah, I've been, but I think I actually learned something, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate Jasmine for your answer, you know, because I'm listening. You see what I mean? I'm listening to what's going on. And before, you know, when I hear toxic masculinity, I would automatically get on the defensive, right? You know what I mean? Because again, you say language matters. It does matter. So when I hear toxic masculinity, it feels like an attack. But in this conversation where I know that you're not talking about me or nothing, I'm understanding more of why that word is used.
Right.
And I appreciate you breaking it down that way, you know, but it's like, but if it's a conversation to where I'm doing something and I get accused of toxic masculinity, everything shuts down. You know what I mean? Everything shuts down, and now I'm in defense mode, and I'm gonna be the toxic crusader in a minute. You know what I mean? And we get nowhere because, like you said, language does matter how we address things, right? But sitting here, I was like, okay, I could definitely see where you're coming from, and I appreciate your perspective. You know, it helped me. I put it like that.
Most definitely. Yeah, likewise. And ladies and gentlemen, too, I do want to make sure that we do highlight these outstanding women up in the building. You know, yes. Like, it's not often that we have a panel like this of very smart individuals. I really do believe I can get a new associate's degree after this show, right? So I do want to thank you all, Miss Yana, Miss Marion, and also Miss Jasmine, about giving us this opportunity, but most definitely having this transparent conversation. Here's a question, though. How do societal expectations around family roles impact women, careers, and ambitions? And what strategies can women use to navigate these expectations while pursuing their personal goals? And so backstage, ladies and gentlemen, off the script, we had a conversation very briefly about our live show, okay, that we're going to have as far as the Lion's Den. And we talked about gender roles and being able to pursue, right? Pursue your education, pursue your career and everything like that. But is there a level of competition there, right? So that's a different topic for a different time, but I believe it marries well with this question. So ladies, what say you with that? How can there be more of support in the pursuit of women's ambition?
So I would have to say, honestly, that I think it boils down to communication, right? So society, gender roles, even religion can, if you allow it to, dictate the trajectory of your success or your relationship. And if you really, really want to be successful in all those areas, to me, it boils down to having that conversation with your partner from the inception of the relationship. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What are my goals and what are my aspirations? What are our family goals? What are our family aspirations? And collectively sitting down and seeing, okay, this is our religion. This is what society says. But at the end of the day, it's really what we collectively decide on as a family unit and how we go about pursuing those things that would ultimately dictate the success of our relationship and our ability to achieve our goals collectively and having that support system in place.
Anybody else want to chime in?
I would say, we are living in an age where, and depending on where we are, but if you look at what it is right now with the women's basketball, right? And I feel like Kobe used his platform and made that what it is right now. And I don't think if he would have spoke up and said anything that women's basketball would be where it is right now. So that just kind of shows how a man can use his platform to really elevate women. And that just makes me so proud. And I just wish more people would do that.
That is a great example right there.
It is.
Because Kobe did put it on for his daughter and was about to make some significant strides in women's basketball. It's unfortunate that it had to be a controversy in women's basketball to make it blow up the way that it is now, you know what I mean? But if we think about it, a lot of men do have these platforms that they can use to uplift women in that way. Yes. I wouldn't have thought about that. That's great.
Yeah, it is good. What you got, Herm?
So for me, when we talk about equality, Women's Equality Day, my question is, what does this day mean to you? How do y'all feel about this day, and what should be on people's minds as we approach it?
You writing that down, Miss Ayana?
I'll write it down. I'll give
write it down. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Get in the moment.
I feel like you judging me right now.
It ain't every day we in the moment.
Miss Jasmine, did you get that question?
I did not. So sorry.
So my question is, what does Women's Equality Day mean to you? What should be on people's minds as we approach it?
I think conversation. I think just like what we did here today, just walk into the day willing to talk, willing to listen, willing to have these open dialogues, open discussions, and take it far beyond just today. I think these are, like you guys say, one conversation at a time. These are conversations that need to keep happening. And, I'm happy that we were able to do just like a sliver of some of the important conversations that need to happen today. But that's, an opportunity to talk.
Absolutely.
Ms.
What about
Myra?
you? Yeah, oh, yeah, Myra. Yeah, go ahead, because she's probably still writing. Go ahead.
Man, Hodges gonna get an A. Trust me.
Is she getting A? Hey.
I would say what it means to me is, just starting the conversation as well, that, women are not an object. I know it's always a little bit perceived that women are something, it's an object, something to conquer, something to it's like a ward, and I think we need to change that mentality. I do, this is my opinion. I believe in gender roles. I do like that. I do like that men can do certain things and women can do other things, but that's what makes us unique and special. And when we work together, we just create the power couple, as they say, so I would say that just, respect us.
Love it. All right. There we go.
No, I'm not writing this time. Okay.
Because you're done. You're done. Go ahead. We gave enough time.
So I'd say women's equality to me, well, we all know it started with our ability to vote, right? And the act being passed and women now being looked at equally like men. I can go in there and I can vote. But to me, what has progressed to today is something way much more than that, right? Not just to be looked at as domesticated, being in the household, not just to be looked at as, you're there to bear children and to be a wife. but like Myra said, to be looked at as, hey, a helpmate in some instances, in most instances, and to be cherished and admired for what you contribute to society and to a couple, to a relationship. Because at the end of the day, once you respect each other's roles and what you have to offer in that sense, you can be successful. But women's equality to me, even a step further, means honestly women uplifting women and being open and receptive to our differences and what makes us unique. Like, you know, I know we were joking behind the scenes, but to me, looking at a person and trying to dissect, you know, what's your ethnicity and where you come from versus, hey, hi, what's your name? Where are you from? Tell me about yourself. You know, how can you contribute to this conversation or this team? How can you be viewed as an asset? What are your talents, strengths, and gifts? I think those are conversations that kind of align with women's equality versus that separatism, separate mindset of putting people in a box, you know, and coming together as women to uplift, elevate, unify, and empower each other in today's society.
Outstanding. I love that. That was a very, very good answer, all of you. So this is what I have for you all. All right. Just take a moment and think about it. Think about the audience. Think about the potential individuals in the military, individuals that's at work, or let's be honest, we got little 8th graders around here, right? I know my daughter, she listens, right? So why should, right? And I would like all of you to answer this. Why should individuals, men and women, listen to this interview? Why is it important for them to be a part of this conversation or even to hear this conversation?
I think this is just, like I said, it's just a sliver. It's just a start in the thousands of different conversations that can happen when we start to address women's equality, right? And I think the only way we see progress or change or anything better is by getting everyone on the same page. And you can't do that if you're not talking. And I know I keep bringing that up, but it's just so critical to getting anywhere. And I think everyone has to own it in their own way. So an 8th grader might own it differently than one of my coworkers that hears this podcast, but they all have a role and we all are part of a unit. We're all part of one humanity, right? For not to be grandiose about it, but there is an element of individual responsibility that we all have to try and create a better future, to try and create a better way forward. And we all are responsible for owning our part in it and then talking, collaborating, and making sure that we're all pushing forward together.
Absolutely. What about you, Ms. Marion?
I would say that you need to listen because you're not a woman. You don't know the experiences that we have faced. And I think having that perspective can maybe, maybe awaken something that you didn't know was happening, because I'm not a man. I don't know what you guys go through, I need to listen to you guys to be like, I didn't know that, so maybe having a eureka moment, listen.
That's what's
like that. No, that's a good one. All right, Ms. Iano. So why should individuals listen, and what would you want them to get out of this episode?
So like Jasmine and Myra said, and they all alluded to it, at the end of the day, one, we're change agents, right? It starts with us. That's the only way we can advance anything and make sure that where we are today, we're going to look something completely different tomorrow, right? So we're all change agents. We all have unique responsibilities to take this information and talk about it and be advocates so that we can really see women's equality and women in a positive light, whether it's within our occupations, our jobs, or society, military or civilian. The other thing I wanted to touch on, and it literally just went out of my brain, blame it on being up there. 1 second, okay? 1 second.
So that's why she was writing down stuff, ladies.
That's why I was writing it down.
Something else. All right. So if y'all don't know, this is another thing about women, right? They get so many things on their mind. Gotta write it down.
Yes, we do. We need to write it down.
So why she thinking about it? What you got, Herm?
What the reason why people should listen to this show, right, is because you're gonna learn something. Because I surely did. You know, and I want to thank you ladies for coming on and sharing y'all's knowledge, y'all wisdom with us, because even though I'm the guy that likes to laugh and joke, you know, I like to keep things light. But you ladies came on and spoke some things to me that, you know, help me identify some of my blind spots, right? You know, let me know that, hey, maybe I'm not being attacked when they say this. You know what I mean? Maybe I need to check something if I'm moving in the wrong direction. Because contrary to everybody's belief, I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? I make mistakes too.
All right.
You know
So there it is. That's the end of that.
What was that, man?
Damn it.
Oh my God. Wait, I got one more thing.
Oh, you got it. There you go.
Yeah, I got it. It came in.
Yeah.
So the reason you need to listen to the show is that throughout the last 60 minutes, we drop nuggets. We drop nuggets from all of our perspectives, right? And with those nuggets, you're going to help advance change and make things better, whether wherever you work, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in the military. If you listen to this podcast and you take exactly what we said, our experiences and the things that, you know, we were able to share today, is going to help you. It's going to help women's equality on a global scale.
One last question. What's the name of this podcast?
The Lions Den with Seth. Hey.
Yeah. But no, real talk.
Hey,
no,
man.
it's beautiful.
Real talk. I mean, they drop nuggets on me all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nuggets all upside my head.
See, damn, man. You see, we can't even keep a nice celebratory. Nevertheless, ladies, this has been wow. Most definitely an honor, and I'm sure whoever listens to this, they will get loads of information. So I want to thank you all. Thank you, Miss Ayana. Thank you, Myra. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Antoinette, the back that want to be in the background.
Wait, can we shout her out real quick?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. You talk about. Come on over here. Let's see you. Stop back. Hold on. There she goes.
Come back.
Yeah, come on back, Antoinette, real quick. Yo, I've been knowing her for a long time when she was stationed in a different location. But thank you for helping navigate all of this and orchestrating this and helping on out. We appreciate y'all and appreciate all of you, right? For not only what you do for the country, what you do for your families, what you do for us simple men out there that still don't know their way out of a paper bag, but also what would you do for the world and society. Okay, so I want to thank you all. Yes. So, hey, don't forget, y'all stay right here, right? Don't go nowhere. Big Herm, how you feel, bro? What you think about this?
Man, I feel good, man. Two big toxic men having a conversation like this.
Only one.
Okay, well, one big toxic man having a conversation like this.
Yeah.
Hey, when this is something that we've never really done before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have a conversation about women's equality on Women's Equality Day. You know what I mean? And I don't know if we ever had a conversation about women's equality on the show.
You know what? No, we haven't specifically. Now, we did have a show about Women's History Month, right? But never to this magnitude, and never hosted a panel, right? And moderated a panel. I think this is super dope, man. I think this was good and most definitely needed.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because again, I'm not joking around when I say that I learned some stuff. You know what I mean? These ladies was able to kick it, you know, for even me to be able to understand it. You know what I mean? So
you show your daughters?
Yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, they're gonna see a whole new me for at least 30 minutes. At least I'm gonna give them a good 30 minutes of what I learned, and we're gonna go right back to. No, I'm just playing.
Jesus. Yo, that's what it is, man. We appreciate it. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the exclusive show, right? It's outside of the norm, but this is the one conversation at a time, y'all. Again, we want to thank y'all for tuning in, and we want to thank our special guests. And just make sure you are subscribing to the Lions Den and the Lions Pride Network on YouTube. But you will see us again on the same bat channel, same bat time on Sunday. Right on. Take it easy.